Modern diets are quietly accelerating how fast you age, and most people have zero idea it's happening. Meanwhile, in places like Ikaria and Sardinia, people are eating a soup so nutrient-dense it's basically a daily anti-aging protocol disguised as dinner. We're talking beans delivering resistant starch, tomatoes pushing vitamin C that unlocks iron absorption from lentils, and slow-simmered herbs working on inflammation at a cellular level. Before we proceed, just know, this isn't vague wellness talk. Every ingredient we cover has a specific job inside your body. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Researchers went to Ikaria, Greece, and found men over 90 still farming their own land. Not retired, not in assisted living, actually working the soil every day. So the obvious question is, what are they doing differently? Blue zones aren't a vague concept. They're specific geographic pockets where people routinely live past 90 with low rates of dementia, heart disease, and cancer. Sardinia in Italy, Ikaria in Greece. And when researchers started cataloging what people in these places actually ate, one thing kept showing up across both locations. A thick, bean-heavy soup, eaten almost every single day. And yeah, that sounds almost too simple. A soup? That's it? But it's not just that these people are eating vegetables. It's the specific combination of ingredients, the way the soup is cooked, and the daily consistency that researchers think is doing the real biological work here. In Sardinia specifically, the soup tradition revolves around what researchers call the Sardinian trio. Great northern beans, lentils, and whatever seasonal greens happen to be growing locally. Fava beans show up regularly too. And this isn't a once-a-week thing. It's closer to a daily ritual, the same way a lot of people have coffee every single morning without thinking about it. Dan Bietner's Blue Zones research documents that people in these regions eat roughly a cup of beans per day on average. That's 4 times what most Americans eat in an entire week. And the soup format actually matters here. Slow simmering in broth keeps the nutrients bioavailable in ways that a cold bean salad just doesn't. The cooking method is part of why it works. The cultural piece is real too. In Ikaria, this soup is communal. It gets made in large batches, shared with neighbors, eaten slowly over conversation. That social ritual around the food is part of the habit loop that makes it sustainable for an entire lifetime. Not just some 30-day health experiment people abandon in February. So if this pattern is so well documented, why hasn't mainstream nutrition just made it the centerpiece of anti-aging recommendations? Part of the answer is that the benefits are cumulative and slow. You don't feel beans protecting your DNA after one bowl. That protection builds over years of consistent intake, and that kind of slow compounding is genuinely hard to study and even harder to sell. And that's actually the core insight from the longevity research. It's not about one superfood or a single nutrient doing something dramatic. It's about a dietary pattern that delivers fiber, plant protein, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds every single day. Those compounds feed your gut microbiome, and your gut bacteria ferment that fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and help regulate your immune system. That process happens quietly, daily, over decades. So the soup functions less like a meal and more like a daily biological maintenance protocol. The format makes it easy to eat a wide variety of legumes, greens, and herbs consistently. And consistency is actually what the longevity data tracks. Not perfection, not superfoods, just the same nutrient-dense ingredients showing up in your body every single day for 40, 50, 60 years. And the specific ingredients in that soup, the Sardinian trio in particular, are doing something at the cellular level that's genuinely worth understanding. The combination of great northern beans, lentils, and seasonal greens isn't just a flavor choice. There's a specific biological reason those 3 things work better together than any one of them does alone. Let's start with lentils, because they're doing something most people don't expect. Lentils are high in non-heme iron. That's plant-based iron, which your body absorbs less efficiently than the iron in meat. On its own, that's a real limitation. But when you add tomatoes to the soup, the vitamin C in those tomatoes chemically converts ferric iron into ferrous iron. The more soluble form your gut can actually pull into the bloodstream. So the tomatoes aren't just there for flavor, they're literally unlocking the iron sitting inside the lentils. Now here's where it gets more interesting. Great northern beans are loaded with resistant starch. That's a carbohydrate your small intestine can't digest. It passes through intact and reaches your colon, where your gut bacteria are waiting for it. Those bacteria ferment it and produce short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. And butyrate has a specific job. It's the primary energy source for the cells lining your colon, and it helps maintain the integrity of the intestinal barrier. Clinical studies have shown it reduces intestinal inflammation and helps regulate immune response. So the beans are basically feeding the bacterial ecosystem that keeps your gut wall intact. So you've got lentils delivering iron and plant protein, beans feeding your gut microbiome and reducing inflammation, and then the greens, kale, chard, spinach, whatever's in season, bringing folate, magnesium, and fat-soluble vitamins. And those fat-soluble vitamins absorb better because olive oil is already in the same bowl. The fat carries them directly into your bloodstream. The herbs are where ancestral cooking really lines up with modern biochemistry. Oregano and thyme, both staples in Sardinian and Greek cooking, contain compounds called rosmarinic acid and carvacrol. Both have demonstrated anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties in lab studies. And slow simmering releases those compounds into the broth, so every spoonful is carrying a mild herbal extract along with everything else. Now let's talk about protein and aging specifically, because this is where the Sardinian trio has a real advantage over meat-heavy diets. As you get older, your kidneys become less efficient at filtering metabolic waste. High animal protein intake increases what's called the glomerular filtration burden. Your kidneys have to work harder to process the nitrogenous waste that animal protein produces. Plant proteins from beans and lentils generate significantly less of that waste, which means less strain on kidney function over decades of eating this way. Research published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that substituting plant protein for animal protein is associated with lower all-cause mortality, particularly in adults over 50. And the Sardinian trio actually delivers a complete amino acid profile when you eat all three ingredients together, so you're not sacrificing protein quality. You're just getting it in a form that's easier on your aging biology. The DNA protection piece matters too. Folate from the greens is essential for DNA methylation. That's how your cells regulate gene expression and repair damaged DNA. Chronic folate deficiency is linked to genomic instability, which is a precursor to cellular aging and increased cancer risk. This soup is delivering meaningful folate every single day, alongside butyrate, plant protein, and bioavailable iron, all working through different biological pathways simultaneously. Nobody in Sardinia or Ikaria sat down and designed this soup around a nutrition label. They cooked what grew nearby, what tasted good, what their grandparents made. And when you actually run the biochemistry on it, the whole thing holds up. The iron absorption, the gut microbiome support, the kidney-friendly protein, the DNA repair, it's all there. If you want to try this, the base is simple. Great northern beans or lentils, tomatoes in the broth, a dark leafy green, oregano and thyme, olive oil drizzled in at the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Longevity is just small habits, repeated daily for decades.